Good morning. Good morning, dear brothers and sisters. My name is Bhaneja. I am one of the members of governing councils of Center for Global Non-Killing. As you know, this morning we have gathered here to celebrate the life of Professor Glenn D. Paige, who left us a couple of weeks ago. It's a great honor and privilege to be standing here and saying these few words. This temple evokes many memories of Glenn Paige because this was the place where the seeds for establishing Center for Global Non-Killing were sown in 2007 when Glenn organized the first Non-Killing Global Peace Leadership Conference here. And then again in 2015 when we had a futures meeting on discussing the next 10 years and futures for the non-killing society. We will miss Glenn's thoughtful leadership, his optimism, his cheerfulness, and most of all, his clear vision of a global non-killing society as he described it in his seminal work, Non-Killing Global Political Science. Glenn was a deeply spiritual person. His first letter inviting me to comment on his book, Non-Killing Global Political Science, ended with the following comment, or following salutation. Om Aloha Allah, Salam, Peace and Shanti. That was for me, become a magnet which attracted me to him. It won me over because I had never seen such a salutation from any other scholar, which was so global in his scope and in his thought, in his feeling. There was always a radiance on Glenn's page, his twinkling eyes, a smile on his face, which reflected an inner purity that comes from his courage, which is derived from selflessness. And that was Glenn. Though spiritual, Glenn was primarily a scientist. Is non-killing global society possible? Finding that question was Glenn's eureka moment. Is global non-killing society possible? Posing the right question is most important thing for a scientist. Once you have posed that question, then there could be so many possible answers to it, and the work starts. All of us around him were awed by his non-killing creativity. For example, on peace. He was not happy with the way the peace term was used by everyone so loosely. It meant everything to everyone, from meditation to the people who were throwing bombs. And as he would say, well, Hitler also used to say he was doing everything for peace. Stalin also used to say he was doing this for peace. So was Bush. So I asked him, does he mean that we have to be much more specific about peace then? Should we call non-killing peace? And as he always said, raising his finger, yeah, hold on to that. Hold to that. Similarly, for example, on non-killing, why non-killing? This question was often asked. The book had been written 10 years ago, and all during these 10 years, we heard that question being raised in various forums from him, from us, and he would always give an example quote his student, PhD student who is now professor in Thailand, and he would say that's what Chaivat Satanand would quote, and the quote was, "Non-killing is alpha and omega of our existence." Non-killing is alpha and omega of our existence. Non-killing was there from beginning to end of life, our life and life on the planet. So precondition to every activity is non-killing. It is measurable. So non-killing is without it, everything else becomes meaningless. Whether we are talking about environment, whether we are talking about security, whether we are talking about amity, it has to be there. Then the other thing starts. So reverence of life, reverence for life was something which Glenn taught us. Glenn loved precise formulations as a scientist. And that could be the formulations which could be analyzed, examined, and tested. For example, he was very particular about that peace, non-violence, and non-killing were not interchangeable. Each had its own meaning. They were part of a group, of a family, but non-killing was interchangeable. And see his formulation, in quotation, "Non-killing will certainly continue, non-killing will certainly contribute to non-violence and peace, but peace and non-violence do not necessarily lead to non-killing. Non-killing will certainly contribute to non-violence and peace, but peace and non-violence necessarily do not lead to non-killing." Then he will go on to explain why. Non-killing creativity was very important to him. At the citation which was being developed for his giving him his honorary doctorate last year at the Jagran University, Bhopal in India, when the university put beside his name political scientist, he mentioned, please do not put just political scientist, he's a global political scientist. And he was just not saying it because he wanted a higher status. But by global he meant that social scientists have to rise above the boundaries of their nation states, of their religions, or of their caste. They had to think beyond race, religion, and nationhood. So that was his vision. To him, a nation state and to be citizen of that nation was too narrow and quaint definition. His vision transcended narrow definitions of race, religion, and nationhood. Just before his passing, a week before his passing, I was talking to him on the phone from Canada, and he said 3 sentences. They're very important. I consider them as his last words to me in January 2017. 100 years from now, someone will recognize the importance of non-killing. Then he said, I'm sure all of you will carry on the non-killing work you are doing. We have a big global supportive network to do that. And third, we are blessed to have Professor Anup Saru as the chair with his impressive background and wide-ranging experience to work on the non-killing transformation we are talking about. Well, it's been a great honor to have been working with, and privileged to be working with Glenn for all these years. In my case, about a decade. May our beloved Glenn's soul rest in peace. And This memorial inspires us to carry on his work, and we have work to do. We have made a non-killing pledge. Those of us who haven't heard it before, I would recite it again for them to hear and join us in this. The pledge is affirmation of the global non-killing spirit. In remembrance of all those who have been killed, of all the killers, of all who have not killed, and of all who have worked to end killing, guided by the global non-killing spirit taught by faith and found within, we pledge ourselves and call upon all to work toward the measurable goal of a killing-free world with infinite creativity in reverence for life. We call upon all leaders and everyone in the world to join in affirming the global non-killing spirit, and each to become a center for global non-killing to bring about a killing-free world. Aloha, Allah, peace, shalom, and shanti. Thank you very much.